Hello, hello. I'm Thiago Paixão. Today I'll be hosting the Open Master class, not with the brilliance of the usual presenter, Thiago Bosquez, but with the intention of providing an enjoyable hour for all of us. I sincerely appreciate everyone's presence and warmly welcome you to the Open Master class by DB Services, now in its edition number 9. Today is a very special edition as we have an equally special guest, Paulo Caroli. Welcome, Paulo. He
Hey,
is the author of the best-selling book Lean Inception. I don't need to present Paulo Caroli, but anyway, Paulo is a consultant, author, and speaker widely recognized for his contribution to agile methodologies, lean transformation, and digital product development. With over of 30 years of experience, he has played a pivotal role in helping organization transitions from a traditional project-based approach to product thinking and agile framework. He is the creator of the Lean Inception. This talk for itself. And he also the founder of Caroli.org, a platform dedicated to agile training, consulting, and knowledge sharing, helping business achieve strategic alignment and operational efficiency. Caroli is an expert in OKRs and agile strategy, currently developing new frameworks for team OKRs and with the mission of the empower teams in defining and achieving their objectives. So, good afternoon, Paulo Caroli. Welcome. Please, the stage
hey,
is yours.
hey, Thiago. Thank you for being a pleasure to be here, and I'll be happy to be sharing, a lot about from strategy to execution. So let
Exactly.
me.
While
Let,
Paulo is preparing his material, I would like to take this opportunity to invite everyone to our in-person masterclass in Lisbon that will occur in May 16. The Beservice and Caroli.org will be offering an entire day of immersion in OKRs and Lean Inception, a unique experience to open the knowledge and refine your strategical approach. If you want to have more information about it, please feel free to reach out at contato@caroli.org. This is the address in your screen. So now the stage is definitely yours.
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Here are my slides, and let's have a conversation from strategy to execution. I'm super happy with this talk because I have just finished my new book, Team OKR, which is going to be available on Amazon very soon. Okay, let's. So this is me. This is my link, the QR code to LinkedIn. As Thiago have told you, I have published a few books. The new ones coming out. The most famous one is Leanception. Hopefully, it's gonna lose its place to the next one on Team OKRs, objectives and key results for teams. Today, I want to share with you, and I'll try to do this in a few minutes, maybe 40 minutes to know. A few points, how we got here. I want to look at the software industry, digital products industry as a whole. We'll talk about objectives and key results, Team OKR, from OKRs to initiative, then turning vision into action, and we close with a quick conversation on what I've been calling triple track one team. Okay, how we got here. So I'll talk a little bit about my personal history. I started work on the 90s. The world was very project-oriented. We have the phases. Despite we were doing software, we followed the same project style as many other engineering. And then I moved to US in 2000, and then I made some good friends there. I used to follow some of those folks that created the agile methodology in 2001, and that has changed quite a bit in the software industry, right? They created, here are the 4 principles: individuals, interaction over process and tools. I won't get this because agile now it's more than 25 years old. Working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. It's important to notice that before we were talking about the 80s and the 90s, we're very slow on building software. Nowadays, things have changed a lot, but that was the reaction on the Agile Manifesto. But on the early decades, on the early 2000s, Even though we improved with those methodologies, we're very project oriented. A lot of it was project thinking. Yes, we use some design thinking parodies, style of work. Some agile methodologies were becoming more famous, like Scrum, Kanban, this kind of stuff. Even the inceptions, agile inceptions that I used to do, I'm famous for it. But things were still very project oriented. And then I would say one decade later, around 2010 to 2020, a lot of new books showed up and a lot of things that I call it more of a product thinking mindset. For example, Lean Startup, how we evolve the organization based on product evolution, like the build, measure, learn cycle. The book on John Doerr and OKR objectives and key results, that was very targeted on, okay, what's the objective? How do you know we're getting there? This makes a lot of sense from the product point of view. And then continuous discovery from Teresa Torres that says we should be continuously discovering, thinking, having product thinking and evolving our product, and more collaborative tools like the Leanception Design Sprint. Leanception for me, Design Sprint from Jake Knapp. Things were changing a lot in our industry. But the reality is not either or. They have to live together because in large organizations, we're project-oriented, organized as projects, financial contracts, all of these. But we want to work in a more product-centric way and more collaborative. So those things have to live together. And to be honest, that's my professional experience. Even though I was on Silicon Valley, I like design thinking, I like agile methodologies. And product thinking, I work for large organizations, which is project-oriented. So project or product? I have here a few questions. For example, a building, a house, a condominium of house. If you look at it, it's very project oriented, right? There's a plan, there's a whole plan, and then you go there and build your house, the condominium, or whatever you're building. Let's take another example: how to build a bridge. I Googled it, and you find some projects for that bridge. But I'll pose the same question. What about more product thinking? How would a product person build a bridge? Well, in this digital world, now think about digital products, how we build digital products. Let's say you want to build a bridge. The thing we do is we would talk to an architect, and the architect would say, look, here's the best place to build the bridge because of the terrain or whatever reason the bridge architect gives us. But then you talk to the business, the owner of the supermarket in that small city. That person, and by the way, the business might be paying for the build to be constructed. That person might tell you, look, I want the bridge in front of my market so I can sell more. And then you talk to the people, and they might say, I want the bridge in front of my house or the condominium of houses because that's where I'll be crossing the river. Who is right? Who's wrong? We don't know. Everybody's right. So what we do in the digital product world, instead of choosing one place, we'll put a few wooden beams. That's what we call MVP. And then we're going to measure. Measure what? I don't know, a combination of metrics. Perhaps the number of people that cross the bridge and consume in the market, like we make a calculation and we decide, look, this one here is the best place because we got the best numbers. We validated that here's the best spot to build that bridge. And then we evolve our product, now the bridge can cross more than one person at the same time, now a car, a truck, or whatever. That's how we evolve digital products. So, same question, how do I achieve a desired goal? Well, if I go back on the 90s, is that the image of the train track? As a project, when I worked on the 90s, we figure out where we are today, where we want to get to, and then make a whole project plan for that. If it's a very large organization, sometimes parallel tracks, because we have like a program of work that needs to be aligned to deliver that big solution, big initiative, or whatever. In the product world, we still have the same vision. For example, we want to get to the very top of the mountain, but we don't plan everything from the bottom to the very top to the mountain. Perhaps we plan from base 0 to base 1. And then you walk as a group, as a small group, you learn, and then once you get to there, decide, okay, we're in base 1. What about now? You don't plan from base 1 all the way to the top. You plan from base 1 to base 2, and you go like that, continuously learning and adapting. So when you talk about learning and adapting, this framework became very famous. Its objectives and key results, or for short, OKR. I like this sentence from John Doerr. He's the author of the most famous book on OKR, Measure What Matters. And John Doerr says, vision without execution is a hallucination. I really like it because for me, OKR is an execution framework. I also like the sentence from Jeff Bezos that we should be stubborn on the vision, but very flexible on the details. And for me, that has a lot to do on how we effectively work with OKRs. So what's OKR? The O stands for objective. Where do you want to get to as a group, as an organization, as a business unit? And key results, how do you know you're getting there? As simple as that. Those two simple questions, a very difficult framework to put in practice. So the objective, I like to think as it as like something that points the direction, because the objective is longer term. I'm not talking about 1 week objective. I'm talking about maybe a quarterly objective, a semester, 4 months, or whatever it is. So we got to know, hey, we're going in that direction. And then key results, a combination of metrics that shows we're progressing towards that direction. So if you look from the project perspective, you might think that OKR looks like this. It's not. It's not a phased approach or the first phase, let's figure out the objective and the key results are the activities to get there. No, don't do like this. This is the old project thinking, Gantt charts, and a lot of other stuff can handle this. OKR is not for that. So when we work with OKR, now I want to make the first distinction here because we use the same word for everything. OKR for, for the organization, for the business unit, for the product, for the team, for personal OKR, for the enablement team. No, I want to stop here and say, I'm going to call this strategic objective. That's the first thing. On the organizational level, okay, the company level, or maybe the business unit or the whole tribe, they decide what's our strategic objective. And then based on that, we decide a group of people, the group of people that will be executing on it. For those, I'll call this team OKR. So now I make a distinction between strategic OKR and team OKR. And by the way, my book is on team OKR because on strategic OKRs, there are a lot of books out there. On team OKRs, which is the place where I trafficate the most, there are very few body of knowledge on it. So both are really important. Okay, I'm not saying team OKR is super important, strategic OKR is not important. Both are really important. Let me put this into place. The strategic OKRs, like usually like C-level directors, they get together and they figure out, okay, what's our strategy? How do you know we're taking our strategy there for our business unit, our tribe, or our organization? Team OKR on the team level. Okay, so that's the strategic OKR. What's on it for my team? What's the objective for my team? And how do we know my team is getting there? So now I need to clarify what I'm calling a team. So a team is a group of people focused on a common goal, where each individual adjusts direction, habits, and work preference to achieve that collective objective. I'll give you a few examples. My son João, he's 13 years old. He goes to school. There is a group of boys and a group of girls. That's it. It's a group, it's not a team. His classmates. He goes to boxing. He does boxing 3 times a week. That's amazing. There's a boxing academy near my house. My son and a lot of teenagers, they go there to train boxing. I didn't use the word team. He plays on a soccer team, on the school soccer team. Yes, he goes 2 times a week for training, and every Saturday they have a championship that I need to wake up early on Saturday morning to take him there. That's a team. They train together. They have a common goal. By the way, their goal is like to improve their position on the city ranking, in our city ranking. They want to end the season as the top 5 teams in the whole neighborhood. That's a team. It's a group of people for a common goal. Now I want to talk about team OKR, because team OKRs make sense for team. What they call team OKR is the ability to work together to define, plan, and execute OKR in a collaborative and committed manner. That's what you want in an organization. You want your teams to collaborate, to figure out what's our objectives and key result, and to be very committed to it. But you only get that commitment if the group define their OKR. So why team OKR? I'm going to give you two examples, okay? The first thing is strategic OKR or team OKR. They look very similar on paper because objective and key result, right? And usually a large organization, it has a hierarchy of some form. For example, let's look at top-down OKR. If you have a tribe, you're a squad in a tribe. That's a hierarchy, squad in a tribe, or a team in a business unit in the organization. Any organization has a hierarchy. Another example of hierarchy, it's your family. In my case, my father, me, my daughter, and my son. So let me take that hierarchy as an example because that I can talk about. I can talk about me, my father, and my daughter. So first example, my father came here a few years ago, and he met me at the end of the year for Christmas and said, "Hey, son, you're reaching your 50s. You're a little overweight, you moved to Spain, you're eating a lot. Your brother in Brazil is in better health. He goes to the fitness place almost every day. You should pay attention, turning 50, it's important to take care of your health, blah, blah, blah. All that beautiful conversation, father-son conversation. Then, of course, I was always in large organizations running OKR workshops. I decided to write a good objective and key results for myself. I wrote, and by the way, here's a good example of OKR. Objective, achieve better health and lose 10 kilos by July 2024. Two key results, lose 2 kilos per month, totaling 10 kilos in 5 months. Perfect. Another one, maintain a good sleep routine, aim 7 to 8 hours per day, and reduce cholesterol 6 points per month. I start with 246 of my cholesterol. I want to reduce to 200. Those are key results, indicators of progress. I'll give you another example. My daughter, same year, she's 18 years old. She needs to enter the university here in Spain. And it was really hard for her because we're Brazilian. We moved here a few years ago. So it was tough for her because she didn't have the Spanish, she had Spanish, but not in the level as the other colleagues. So I sat with her and together we wrote an OKR. Here's another well-written OKR. Objective, achieve the score required to enter the public university next year. 2 key results. Read at least 1 book per month, reaching a minimum of 10 books through the year. Amazing. Now, really good result because, she needs Spanish. Read at least 1 book in Spanish. She's going to improve. And another one increased, in each subject, all the subjects that it's important for her. They have mock exams. Improve by month 10% until you reach a 9. Once you reach a 9, you're pretty good to enter a public university. Very well written OKR. Now let me tell you what happened. So they're similar. Both OKRs are well written, but the result was very different. The first one, me and my father, desired outcome aligned. Yeah, my father and myself, we talked, we all agree. Executor defined the OKR. I defined the OKR. I'm the one that was eating less, going to the fitness place and doing other stuff. And then I achieved the OKR. On the second one, desired outcome aligned, me and my daughter, we talk about, she totally agree, I want to go to the public university. OKR defined by me and my daughter, the executor and the sponsor or her superior, her father. And it was executed by her, not me. That's the mistake we make in big organizations. What happened? Yeah, I lost weight. Of course, my OKR, I wrote and I was committed to it. My daughter, she wrote because I was with her in the room. Of course, she agreed with me. Of course, that was well-written OKR, but she's the one executing. She didn't execute on it. She was not committed to it. We make this mistake a lot in the organizations. All goodwill. Oh, we want the best for our teams. I want the best for my daughter. But she's the one that has to write it, not me. She's the one that will commit to it. This was a mistake I made. I learned with it. And by the way, by the time I was writing about Team OKR, I'm like, wow, this is the perfect example to tell people, look, I'm sure you want the best for your teams. I want the best for my daughter. That was my mistake, not her mistake. So you have the C-level directors, the business unit people. They define the strategic OKR. Perfect. Nothing wrong with that. And then they want to think, okay, the OKR is set. Let's make it happen. All the best intentions here. And then they give to the team. No, don't do this. Don't do this. Amazing intentions, really bad execution. What we do instead, team OKRs, driving alignment and commitment. What is it? Same thing. C-levels, business unit leaders, they define the OKR. Now they want your team to set the OKR and make it happen. Small difference. So they tell the team, look, Go figure out. Write your own team OKR, aligned with my strategic OKR. And then the team receives it, accepts this, and the team's going to write their own team OKR. That's why I'm calling even a different name. It's team OKR, not only OKR, because it's OKR defined by the team for the team. And that's what I call alignment instead of cascading. It's the results are it's huge. I've been on several organizations before. I used to help them with OKR, what I call traditional OKR cascading, and now I work then with team OKRs. The results are really different. You should try. Okay. So and once the team has defined their team OKR, they go and figure out the roadmap. What do we do to achieve it? We'll talk a little bit more about it. So I want to share a good example from one of the leading organizations in Brazil. They shared with me that they're very successful with OKRs. What they do at the beginning of the year, leadership gets together, set priorities for the year. And then the business units, they create a 6-page plan. They plan and make the strategy. Then they define the strategic OKRs. There's a little back and forth between 1, 2, and 3 on the first 2, 3 months of the year. And once, 2, 3 months, usually a month and a half, they try to finish it before February. I always sleep a little more, but they try for sure to finish it in the first quarter of the year. And once the main business units have defined their strategic OKRs, they give it to the teams and say, hey, team, figure out, define your team OKRs. And then the teams do it quarter by quarter. And that's where the team OKRs only on the team level. Of course, the teams have to be aligned with the strategic OKRs. So, yes.
Let me ask you a question. First of all, I must confess that I take some notes about the loose weighting TR. I probably will be adopting this for me. But okay, this is a side question, very personal. But okay, let me ask you: what is the most common trap when a company is starting to thinking about OKRs? I think the point is, I think everybody thinks that okay, I'm totally expert in OKRs, and obviously it's not. But what is the most common trap when a company is starting to thinking in OKRs?
Well, I would say the most common one is the cascading approach. It's what I did with my daughter. Best intention, really smart people. You're able to write the objective, define key results, and then with all the best intentions, you cascade it down to the business unit, to the tribes, to the squads, to my daughter. For me, this is the biggest mistake, because then we don't have the connection between who's going to execute it and who defined it. If you're not executing it, don't define it. You need to define the company strategy, but not the team level. For me, that's the biggest mistake. Strategists are really smart people, and they try to define and cascade it down to all levels. Don't do that one.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now let me connect a little bit from OKR to the team initiatives, right? Because, and by the way, this is not a mistake, but like defining a good OKR, it's difficult, but it's only 5% of the game, because execution is where the challenge happens. But before we need to connect, once you define it, how we decide how to execute it. So the question is, which initiative will help us achieve the OKR? For this, I like this template. On the team level, we believe that what's a team initiative? It's an initiative that the team can handle. Okay, because if your OKR depends on someone else, it's not your OKR. It's from that group. So I believe that this team initiative will help us achieve this team objective. We know we're getting there as we show progress by the key results. Key results are indicator of progress. That's it. You fill up this template, you have very clear connection between what you believe are good team initiatives to achieving the team OKRs. So let's say you have 3 initiative options. Well, 2. Let's go with 2. It's easier. So which one should you try first, which one to prioritize? The biggest mistake, okay, let's try all those 5 initiatives at the same time. When you try 5 things at the same time, they all takes longer. So cost of delay from Don Randerson. It's amazing, because that helps you make the decisions, So an example, he put this on his book. What's the delay cost of not having initiative B compared with initiative A? That's how you decide. because you believe both initiatives are really good to help the team achieve the OKR, but you have to decide, do you try initiative B or A? So how do you decide? There you go, B and A. What is the cost of delay? How much you're losing or how much money you're not making by not having this ready? So let's say initiative A is 10K per week, initiative B is 20K per week. You are going to say, oh, initiative B. No, wait a second, because you got to divide by duration or effort in other terms. So let's say initiative A takes 1 week, initiative B takes 4 weeks. Now the game has changed. Don Ransom just called this cost of delay divided by duration. That's why he called CD3. And then you're going to choose initiative A because its return on investment is going to be better on initiative A. SAFE renamed it to Wait and Shorts Job First, and that's how they make decision on which initiative should go first. So basically what you do, you make the calculation value against the effort. Value, this from Don Ransom and SAFE has adopted it. Now, the conversational value is kind of weird, so they say business value, time criticality, and risk reduction. Give a score from 1 to 5 to each one of these. And then you compare the different initiatives. Be very careful. Don't try to go in absolute values because it's really difficult. So go relative comparison between initiative A and B, which one has a higher potential value. And then time criticality, which one's more critical time, which one reduce more risk from 1 to 5. And then effort. Then you compare initiative A and B related to effort, which one requires more effort. The only thing about that, well, Don Ransom came from the financial world, right? Nowadays, we need to add the user perspective to value. So I like to do this formula instead. Business value plus user value divided by score. And for user value, I like Rice from Sean. So instead of calling value, it's only business, value for the business, where we talked about, and then value for the user, which as per Sean, I really like this one. This is the Rice framework. Reach, how many people are going to reach, impact, what is the impact on the people we're going to reach, and confidence. How confident are you in those numbers? Especially that we do discover and UX research, these increase confidence level. And E is for effort, that it's already in the formula. So usually what I do, I compare the different initiatives in the same business unit, we score it, and then we make the calculation. So now you know which one you should attack first to help you deliver your team OKR. Okay, let me move now from turning all the way from vision to action. I will give you another representation here. So you have the vision, because your strategy is not alone. It's not you go out of the blue, this is my strategy. No, it got to fit on the vision for your company, your organization, your business unit, your tribe. And then you have the strategy. And then you have your team OKR that fits that strategy of your business unit. And then you figure out the backlog of work that you believe will help you achieve the OKR. So putting this kind of on a timeline, first comes vision. I invite a lot to facilitate workshops. So strategic alignment workshops, usually at the end of December and January, I'm super busy running those. So here you help your large organizations figure out what's the strategy for the year, given our current context, given the competition, what should be our strategy for this year. And then from strategy to team OKRs, each team do their team OKR planning workshop. And then after the team decide the OKR, if it's a very simple team, you just do a brainstorming session. That's it. The actions you got to do as a team to achieve that OKR. Like me going to the fitness place, stop eating picanha or hamburger every weekend, kind of stuff. But for more complex scenarios, you run discoveries and inceptions, continuous discovery, and when needed, inception, to convert from team OKR to initiatives to backlog items. I'll go a little bit on that. Here, giving an idea of time frame, vision is long-term. Strategy, usually companies do every year, and then team OKR every quarter. And then backlog is the day-to-day work every week. So we need to talk a little bit about outcomes and output, because when you talk about OKR, a lot of our intention it's on outcomes. What are outcomes? The intermediate steps, level of performance of achievement towards an objective. Those are the key R's. You want to show you're progressing toward the objective. But the output's really important. What's the output? Are the items that contribute for reaching that outcome. Usually, the output, those items, what go on the backlog. Backlogs are super important, but they're very detailed. Backlog, especially a sprint backlog, the backlog that the team's working next week, not 6 months down the line. It's too far. Like next week, the team needs to have detailed work for them. Those are the output. But output only makes sense if connected to the outcome, which points towards the team OKR. So as an example, I live in Spain. I really like barbecue. Thiago and myself, we're from the south of Brazil. We make really good barbecue there. And let's say my objective is to invite my colleagues from the beach service. I live in Spain. They live in Portugal. I want to invite them for my house on the beach here in Ibiza in Spain. Assume I bought a house on the beach. In Spain, we don't have barbecue area. So my goal, my objective is to throw a barbecue party at the beginning of next summer with my colleagues from the beach service. That's the goal. And then most likely we're going to have a discovery, inception. Someone's going to talk to me, interview me. Caroli, what kind of barbecue do you like? It's American barbecue, Brazilian, Argentinian, Uruguayan. So we make a kind of a project or ideation of this initiative of this barbecue area. And you might even run a leanception because it's risky to decide all or nothing for the barbecue area. If you run a leanception, we're going to create the MVP. Okay, we have the roadmap. We want the whole area of the barbecue place and the area for people to sit and being covered if it's raining and the smoke don't come on everybody's face, and then the sink to wash the meat. But the MVP, maybe it's only the barbecue area, and I wash the meat inside the house, and my wife will be mad at me because blood all over the house, but it's okay. As an MVP, we can throw a barbecue party if needed. So that's the thing here. I'm talking about inception, how to figure out the roadmap and how to get started. But of course, you got to translate this to output, the thing that software engineers or people are going to build. Okay. So my book on Team OKR and Leanception goes on that side to map from what is the goal to that roadmap to help the team align. And I have another book in English, is the Product Backlog Building Canvas, that translates from features that came from Leanception into the user stories. But I want to move fast to the last piece, which I call Triple Track One Team. Used to be, last year was the most read article on my blog. This is dual track, where we have continuous discovery and continuous delivery. I think by the way, DB services, they're really good on DevOps and continuous delivery and all this stuff. But our industry have been doing continuous discovery for quite a while. In fact, Teresa Torres has a really good book called Continuous Discovery that shares with you the thinking process on doing it continuously and a lot of activities. And you have Leanception that connects discovery to delivery. In fact, I look at Leanception as part of the solution discovery. When you're like, okay, we think we figure out what's to be built. Let's talk about solution, the roadmap, and how do we get started, or the MVP. What's the minimum viable to show we're moving in a good direction. So what is product discovery? Is a process with many methods and activities to help figure out what should we build next. And what's Leanception is that collaborative workshop that helps a team, the product team, the enabling team, the platform team, whatever. That team defines a clear roadmap and decide, okay, what we want to achieve and what is the very first steps to that. So Leanception is highly influenced by Lean Startup, because on Lean Startup, we have that build, measure, learn loop. And then on that build, measure, learn loop, which is a continuous loop, you have the word MVP. And I really like that book. I used to be an Inception facilitator, and then I just switched from Inception for a whole project, Inception for agile, Inception for figure out the whole project and slicing user stories, into Inception to figure out, okay, let's look at the product vision, but how do we get started and figure out that plan for the MVP. So that's the Leanception, how to align the team and figure out the vision, the roadmap, and the very first step, which usually call MVP. A lot of don't get stuck on the name, because a lot of people, this MVP is not MVP. What is the very first step to figure out you're going in a good direction and provide you learning, because it's a continuous process. So all of this, in my view, is connected to what I call triple track one team, because within the same team, you got to figure out that business strategy track that connects all the way from the vision to the strategic objectives to the team OKR. You have the continuous discovery and you have the continuous delivery. So But the point is, those are tracks, those are not levels. The business strategy track, the discovery track, and the delivery track, it's all in the same team. It's not like this, that there are levels in the organization. No. Instead, you have, let's say, the company, that arrow there showing we're going that direction. We need to understand the company, the strategic direction of the company. And then maybe the product line or the business unit say, okay, if you're going that direction for my business unit, I need to be pointed the same direction. And then every single team needs to figure out what's my objective giving my business unit direction. That's alignment, not cascading. So if you look at one team, on the team level, you got to have those three tracks, not levels. Business strategy, the strategy track, the discovery, and the delivery. So every single team needs to figure this out, and then all the teams need to be aligned on the same direction as their business unit or organization. Because for a very small organization, one startup that's only on teams, easier because everybody's in the same room. This gets more complex when you talk about large organizations where you got to align several different business units, areas, domains, and teams, enabling teams, product teams, platform teams. Things get really complicated. So, but even though it's easier here in the presentation to show those three tracks as parallel lines, things are very intermingled. I prefer this image here because that's the reality on the ground. The strategy, discovery, and delivery. It's not that you split them apart. They are all intermingled. And that's why I call it triple track one team. By the way, this is the QR code to that large article that I share more about the triple track one team. And here's the full picture, like just connecting, because if you know me, I wrote a lot about Leanception, the PBP canvas, the triple track one team, now the book on Team OKR. This is just a big image that shows those concepts connected. And as per the Agile Manifesto, individuals, for example, this over that is not that, process and tools are not important. Of course they're important. It's super important, process and tools. We just value more individuals and interactions. I want to tell the same thing about OKRs. I'm not saying that, the top-down, high-level strategic OKRs are not important. They're super important, but committed and empowered teams, that's what makes a very successful organization. By the way, this is the QR code for my new book. On the book page, I'm already making available the first 2 chapters. So if you go there, put your email, you will receive the first 2 chapters, and I'll tell you once the book's released. And that's it. So thank you so much. Let's continue this conversation. You can find me on LinkedIn at caroli.org. Paulo Caroli, if you search for service, let's continue this conversation. Thiago.
Perfectly, Paulo. Thank you. Let me give a wave of hands for Claudio Franco, Alex Morgadas, Diego Mafazioli, Matheus Villanova, Bruna Descove, Daniel Caparrosi também, for Beatriz Couto. And I have 2 questions here. I'm encouraging the people to send their questions for us. Let me start with Daniel Caparros. From my experience, when we let the team choose the OKRs, they don't know how to do and write OKRs like don't get fired. How can we make the team write meaningful OKRs?
Good question. First thing, OKR is not about strategy. The vision has to be clear and the strategy has to be clear. That's the very first mistake. Many times I go to a team OKR session and the organizational vision is not clear for the team and the strategic OKRs are not defined. So the team cannot, let me decide my strategy. No, not at all. So the first thing is like, make sure this is covered. I call this not even, for me, that's a strategic alignment workshop. So if you have the strategic OKR for your business unit for your area, that's perfect. And then from that, you put the team together and say, look, that's the strategic objective for our business unit. What's our objective? But then you don't ask what's our objective. You need to set apart 4 hours. I'm going to be honest. It's as you said, it's not easy to write OKRs. You set apart 4 hours, and then you run a whole activity. I can even tell the step by step. First steps, like talk about the context. What's our current context? Where we are today as a team? What's the expectation of the team? You need a line and have that conversation. It's an open, frankly conversation. And then, yeah, I like the time travel machine activity, which by the way is on the book. We all get in the time travel machine. Go ahead in time 3 months ahead, not 1 year. 1 year is the strategic objective. As a team, 3 months. Okay, 3 months ahead. What have you achieved as a team? Then write it as an objective, but you are writing with the team. It's not someone else cascading to you. So you define your objective. In the book, like there are some tricks so the group can define good objectives. And then you go back in time for today, go back in that travel machine, and then you ask the team, please write me indicators of progress towards the objective. It's really difficult to write good key results. So first I do this step, people put a lot of post-its, and then you aggregate those post-its. And the aggregation of those post-its, they will become your key results. But then I have some tricks to help write good key results. I can't share all the tricks here, but like one of them, for example, is the SMART key result. The other, like, you got to figure out what are the 3 types of key results you're writing and look for outcome key results, because key results should not be only activities. You got to look for outcomes that indicate progress. And then I have the why test. You just ask, why is this key result important for the objective? If you cannot answer that question, that means not a good key result. And then that's why it's taking 4 hours. And then once you wrote the key results, then you review the whole thing together. That takes 4 hours, I'll be honest. You cannot run this in 1 hour. The big mistake, we don't give time to the team. We just ask, give me your OKR in 1 hour. Boom, we can't. So have good strategic OKRs well defined, and then give the team good enough time for them to write their own team OKRs. Then things becomes much easier.
Perfect. Thank you. Let me share another question. Beatriz, let's jump to Mateus Villanova. How do we track the kind of work that is not strictly aligned with the strategy? Work like compliance, business as usual, KTLO. Do you include them as a part of the team OKRs?
Great question. No need. That's business as usual. Business as usual is business as usual. OKR, they're great. We almost talk here about the difference between KR and KPI. Business as usual, most likely you want to keep some key performance indicator. Let's say I'm an operational team, I got to keep the site up 99.99% of the time. That's a KPI. There's no key result there. A business as usual team, keep the operation running according to those SLA, service level agreements. Those are KPIs. OKR is great when the team has a common objective, and keep the business running is not the objective. This is just business as usual. A common objective is like, we need to reduce our lead time from this to that within a quarter. We want to improve the NPS score from 40 to 50 in this quarter based on a better onboarding experience. That's an objective, So team OKR is great for a team that has a common goal, not for a business as usual team. The mistake we make, we get one tool, it's like a hammer, and then we use the hammer for everything. I don't use team OKRs for business as usual teams. I use team OKRs for a group of people with a common goal that want to change something. Change on something, that's a key result, because then you are progressing towards something. Really good question.
Perfect. So congratulations, Mateus. When Thiago Bosquez's question, which tool do you recommend for managing OKRs?
Good question. I want to answer because I have too many friends in the industry. But
yes, this is a digitizing moment here.
This is a tough question. But there are a lot of good tools. If you are the first team in the organization, don't worry about this, right? Any tool will make like whatever helps your own team. But if you're in a large organization, someone wants to look at this many teams to to see what's the progression. Then a tool makes a difference. So whatever tool you select, make sure to keep the history, and the track of the OKRs, because LLMs are here today, and this history is going to be important for your future tools, because the tools they're changing fast and improving a lot. Be careful not to commit to one tool. Instead, committing to the process of working with OKRs and improving it. And if you can track the history of your organization use OKR, I think this is going to be very valuable for the next generation of tools that are coming up.
Perfect. Let's jump for the next one. This is a comment from Marco Migliavaca. I will try to translate this in the real time. The secret is align and not to cascade, but OKRs from the high direction will be directing the objectives to business. The team's OKRs will direct how the team will make viable the results. Okay.
Hey, Marco. Marco Melchiagaf, good friend. Long time don't see you. The thing here is the word. It's about alignment, not cascading. Large organization for sure. We need the C-level, the directors to tell us the direction. We need it. We don't need cascade the direction on us. Tell us the direction, the reason, the why, the current business context. This is all with you. We on the team level cannot have the same information that the high level directors have. But let the teams, well, it's not even the teams, right? Because then the business unit, they figure out maybe their strategic OKRs in the business unit level, and then they share these with their teams. And then their teams write their team's OKRs aligned with the business unit. I'm being careful not to use the term top-down or bottom-up, because both happen. There is some information that comes top-down, and there is some that comes bottom-up. It's not a neither-or. Both happen. Top-down, bottom-up, but it's not cascaded. It's aligned.
Perfect. And no problem regarding being top-down or bottom-up, because the information must to be fluid for everything, for everybody. Well, the last question, I will start the answer right here from Beatriz Couto. Where can I access this material that is being presented? When a good opportunity will be on Lisbon, May 16, when you will be could be participating of an event that will happen, as I mentioned, in Lisbon, and we will have a whole day with Paulo Caroli, talking about OKRs, talking about Lean Inception, and talking about any kind of doubts. And you can know more about this event in contato@caroli.org. Problems here.
Yes, thank you, Thiago. We're going to be in Lisboa, May 15, Scrum Gathering. I'll give a keynote there. It's only 1 hour. May 16, a whole day sharing, about Team OKR and Inception in Lisboa. From time to time, I open a public class. I can't do this too often because I live in Spain nowadays. In organizations, many times organizations hire me, and then I end up doing this for a specific public in the organization. I try to share on the books as well, and the Team OKR book is going to have a lot of this material that are shared today. Lean Inception books are read out there, but I do understand and recognize that I have quite a few books and articles to connect everything. Sometimes it's harder. I'm also available on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, please ping me, and I'll be happy to share this with you. And the B Service is sharing this talk on their YouTube channel as well.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. Well, not sure if you have further questions. If we don't, let me thank you, Paulo. It was awesome. I think it was very, very valuable for everybody who had the chance of participating. This open masterclass will be available in the channel, the services YouTube.
you can access it and revisit all the insights for any time. Let me once more say to everybody that we will waiting you in Lisbon, May 16, and you have more information about that in contato@caroli.org, and I see you there. Thanks one more time, Caroli. Looking forward for the Lisbon event. Looking forward also to the Ibiza barbecue. So
Yeah.
looking forward. Okay,
Let's do it. Thiago, thank you so much. And
it was a
well,
pleasure.
good to see everybody here. Talk to you soon.